One big headline yesterday flipped the tone overnight, and today's thin liquidity holiday session could make any moves feel even bigger. This is Tiger with FXEmpire. Today is the Good Friday holiday, April 3rd, 2026, and many markets are closed for the holiday. So let's run through the assets and how they closed yesterday, plus the current early tone. Crude oil finished up yesterday and is closed today for Good Friday. No new trading activity until Monday. Just a reminder, we did bounce into this overhead supply zone yesterday, and that's pretty well where we closed, right in the center of it. So definitely will be interesting to see which direction it wants to go on Monday. Of course, we have a whole weekend for all kinds of craziness to happen in the Iran conflict. So don't be surprised if this thing gaps up or gaps down, guys. Who really knows at this point? Depends on what tweets come out and what dialogue gets said and reported. So we'll see on Monday. And natural gas finished down as well. We did finally get down to those February 26 lows that we did have. So yeah, just a very steady downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, and currently at the bottom. Gold and silver finished up yesterday towards pretty close to the highs. Remember, we did have that big Asian drop, and then London kind of balanced out. New York pushed up. So currently sitting at about 46.70 area, give or take a few bucks on gold. Silver as well had that nice green candle up yesterday at the start of the U.S. equity session. And pretty well in the middle of the curve analysis, talking about the swing low here, swing low here, swing high up here. Gold and silver aren't really on any of my lists right now as far as watch lists go, so pretty well neutral. And we'll look at more on that on Monday. Bitcoin is relatively unchanged since yesterday and remains open today, but just with thinner liquidity, guys. So just be careful out there with any crypto trades that you're up to today, as it will be typically a thinner day of liquidity for these assets. And as far as U.S. indices, they did finish up yesterday as well. We had the gap down early on, but then it got stabilized and pushed back up towards the highs from Wednesday. So yeah, look, if we're looking at curve analysis here, we're at the top of it right now. We're in more of the premium zone. But overall, remember, we're in a downtrend. We'll see what happens over the weekend with the Iran conflict and any tweets that come out and any dialogue that gets said and posted on the media. So, and we'll come back in with a better picture for you on Monday. But yeah, S&P at the top, NASI at the top, and the Dow pretty well at the top as well. The VIX finished down yesterday, so that was a kind of a nice sign, seeing a little bit of the fear come out of the markets. Now, we did come down to about 23.87 is what it looks like right now. So I would say it's still elevated overall because of the uncertainty, all the uncertainty that we're facing, but it's a little better than it was just a few short days ago. 10-year yields as well, they came down yesterday. The Dixie was sideways during Asia, sideways so far for the most part during the early London hours. Obviously, the Dixie remains open today for the currencies and everything, so just be careful. Again, thinner liquidity. So anything that is any headlines we could potentially get today could definitely swing these things quick. And just know that there's going to be some probably higher spreads on any trades that we get into today as well. So just keep that in mind. Do a cost benefit analysis and decide if it's really worth it on a thinner liquidity and more expensive trading day, perhaps depending on your brokers and everything. So yeah, just be careful on that. And I am still in a British pound Canada dollar trade. Speaking of FX, so it's doing pretty nice, I gotta admit, guys. So my decision for the day is decide if I want to go ahead and close this and get out of the way over the weekend or hold it open. I think you already know what my decision is going to be, regardless of what tiny little profits I've got. Probably going to get out of this before the FX market close. And really, just to finish up on my FX watch list, I am still looking at pound Swiss and pound Kiwi, as well as Aussie Kiwi as just three of my more bullish pairs I'm looking at. Pound CAD is up there as well. I'm looking over at the indices, the FTSE, okay, the UK 100 is another one I'm keeping my sights on going into Monday for bullish ideas. On the short side, nothing's changed. It's still the Kiwi dollar shorts, Euro dollar shorts perhaps, and then maybe even a Kiwi yen short. So that's just a couple of the FX pairs I'm keeping my eyes on. going into Monday. Pound Swiss, I got to admit, is quite choppy and going sideways overall. It's just one big congestion, if you ask me, but I am keeping an eye on some demand underneath on Pound Swiss. Pound Kiwi, so it's got a little bit better of structure, clear set of up, highs and lows. We've got a rally base and then an early part of a rally trying to form on a higher time frame. This is a 1 hour chart I'm looking at. So it did finally break these highs, which I do like. So that does tell me there's some underlying strength somewhere probably in this area. So probably on a smaller time frame, might take a look, or maybe even a 2 hour or 4 hour. We'll take a look real quick. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little on the pricey side. Perhaps I'm going to need some discounts, guys, on pound Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi, we do have a little bit of demand down here as well. Same thing. We had a nice rally base, and now it's got another rally going on. So perhaps this basing structure could provide a little bit of a demand. I do see one zone I'm looking at. But again, I'll probably lay off on this. This is a slower moving currency pair if we're talking average true range. In fact, how many? 62 pips a day, guys. That's all that thing moves. It's really not that much. So yeah, definitely not anything I'm gonna be interested in today. We'll save that for Monday. Kiwi dollar, guys. I'm still have that one on the list. Got a supply up here I'm looking at. I just wish that this price right here would have dropped further down and closed below this recent support. So that's really the only hang up on that one, but it does remain on my list, and we are in a pretty cheap area overall if we just kind of scale out. Euro dollar, same thing. I got a supply up here, but again, it's going to be a -1 for me since we didn't even have the power to push through a zone of demand or a swing low and close. So yeah, I'm going to be a little iffy on that, but it's still on the list. And just a quick note, guys, overall on today's trading, just keep in mind U.S. stock markets and energy futures are closed for Good Friday, as well as gold, silver. But it's really all about the FX market and crypto. That's really, as far as the U.S. goes, that's the only markets that are open. But just again, I want to reiterate this. Expect thin liquidity and expect wider spreads throughout the day, okay? Those secret expenses that like to pop up and get us, okay? We see them all the time, usually right before, during, after a red folder event. Usually at the start of the trading session, at the end of the trading session, but perhaps we could be seeing some behavior like that all day today. So again, it's just a good idea to be careful overall. And on the geopolitical front, a headline from yesterday continues to draw attention, guys. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but Iran did mention it was creating a protocol with Oman regarding traffic throughout the Hormuz Strait. So this adds another layer to the ongoing diplomatic discussions and supply risk narratives, all that kind of thing. It's a good sign. At the end of the day, they're already pretty well planning for when this war does end as far as traffic. So good stuff, and the markets like that. And especially when we look at equities, we had the big gap down yesterday. But as soon as this news came out, okay, the markets liked it. So the indices went up. Okay. The risk on assets got a nice boost upwards. And today's economic calendar is fairly light due to the holiday, but the big one is still coming, guys. The NFP, and that comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Even on a holiday, this jobs number can move the open markets hard, especially in the FX and potentially even the Bitcoin markets. Just be aware of that. That's going to be the big topic du jour. Outside of any geopolitical headlines we get. But overall, we are heading into a quiet but headline-sensitive Good Friday. Safe havens are still showing some strength in the open markets. So while energy and equities are closed, and with the thin liquidity in the open markets, guys, just be careful, stay nimble. Today might be a good day to study up, maybe do some back testing on your strategy, or if you're thinking of another strategy, whatever the case is, just be careful. Don't strategy hop either. I would say that's another thing I would want to point out. Give whatever trading strategy you have some time. Give it plenty of back test, okay? You got to prove it's either good or bad, and you can't just do it with 1 or 2 or 3 trades. Sometimes it takes a baker's dozen or a dozen or a handful. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, just another actionable thought or two. Because of the thin liquidity, you might seriously consider scaling way back on position sizes, or like I said earlier, just sit on the sideline, read a book, go take a walk. It's a good day for it. And just a final thought on that, yeah, use this slower day to review your overall risk management and prepare for next week's busier calendar, guys. And remember, no position is a position. So that wraps up this morning's pre-market briefing. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for daily updates. Let me know if you're focusing on anything today or if you're just sitting at home studying, reading a book, whatever the case is. This is Tiger signing off. Trade safe. I'll see you in the next update.